Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. I hope everybody is doing well today. You guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch. I am the host of this podcast, and we are the number one podcast for bringing you conversation around death, dying, and grief, and the people who are doing amazing things in our communities to help you find areas of healing, support, and resources. Now, before I bring on my next guest, you guys already know what it is. If this is your first time tuning in and you have not already, head on over to their YouTube channel. It's down there below. It's scrolling across the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast on YouTube. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. Now, before I bring on the next guest, I would like to say that this is for educational purposes only. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section. We'll be sure to answer them as we go. Now, this next man that I bring up here, this man has been in the music industry as well for a very long time. He has an amazing story, and you guys are going to enjoy this, okay? So without further ado, I'm bringing on my man, DJ, the music god. DJ, how you doing, brother?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing, man. Thank you for joining me today, brother.
Honored to be here. An absolute honor, man, and been looking forward to it, even though I screwed the date up.
Hey, these things happen, man. I'm pretty sure, like, I'm sure on the 26th, you got something going on that you
I have one on the 28th and one on the 5th for their like movie style roundtable ones that we're talking about random stuff. So we're gonna do some movie stuff, but I don't know why I thought, but luckily, we have reminders and these amazing devices that remind us.
This is why I send everything over in the calendar invite, because man, sometimes I do the same thing.
It was a lifesaver, man.
Oh man, they're lifesavers, aren't they?
As much as I detest them, I really do think cell phones are the scourge of the universe. They do come in pretty handy sometimes.
This is very true. This is very true. I'm starting to appreciate social media, just to a certain extent, though. Just to a certain extent, but it makes it too easy for people to be able to find you.
It's a double-edged sword in the aspect of, for those of us that, because I think we're pretty close to the same age. For those of us who grew up in the era where phones had very long cords that you could stretch across the house.
Yeah.
And were sometimes used as weapons by our parents. We, if you called us and we weren't there, you had to leave a message. So that's how we grew up, and
yeah, most definitely. Because that time we was outside.
And the fact that people can find us no matter where we're at now is sort of annoying to me. And I think the other thing that really annoys me is when you're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis and you run into those ones who just refuse to learn. They refuse to do any kind of research. You look at them and they're holding an expensive cell phone in their hand, and your brain is thinking you literally have the world's knowledge in your hand, and you're standing there being a complete moron. Spouting stuff that isn't true, but you're just doing it for whatever reason, and it's like, come on, man, read a book. Read a book, dude. Read a book.
They make it real easy to get books now. It's because I love reading. I've gotten into the habit the last probably 25, 26 years or so. I read everything out there, right? Like, I still remember when we used to have the old Britannica encyclopedias. I still remember when we had to read road maps and things like that. And don't get me wrong. It took me a long time to even fathom the fact of even want to be on social media, but it does serve a purpose. It helps us stay connected with one another, right? And if you anything like us, trying to reach more people and things like that, it's a great way to do that. And crazy part about it is actually been a benefit of reconnecting with people that I hadn't seen in a very, very long time, just to see how they were doing, and things like that. So it's been a beautiful thing, you know. So it's been a blessing and a curse at the same time because you know you see the other side of it where people portray lifestyles that really aren't true. And you got a lot of people out here that get wrapped up into that, and they're just like, "Oh wow, I want to be like this person, be like that person." Well, tell him to stop taking pictures around Ubers and stuff like that. That's not that person's car. That's really not that person's house, right?
Yeah.
And so you know, it's too easy to build a falsified lifestyle,
Yeah.
right? Now,
Well,
between yeah, most definitely, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm one of those guys, man. I'm just like, I'm not gonna. I have nothing to hide from anyone. Like there's parts of my lifestyle that I really don't want people to know, and things like that. And I just look when it comes out of social media, I have one purpose and one goal. I want to build a business. I want to serve, right? And I want to reach as many people as I possibly can. And so it's a great tool if you know if it's used the right way. But just like anything, if it's abused, it can be used in a very wrong way, right? You know what I'm saying? Things like that. And I'm right there with you. There are so many times where people go, "I got cyberbullied." I was like, "How did you get cyberbullied?" You do realize all you got to do is turn off the computer, right?
Right.
And you have to take the abuse. You don't, right? And but you know, and the other side of it is, man, like I really don't like seeing people's personal lives when they sit up there posting stupid shit on the internet, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you just open yourself up to people to just be all up in your business.
I mean, it's one of them things, man, where I get people have a need to share, and that's fine. But you know, like I've taught my all my kids, look, you you do have a right to say whatever you want. You do have a right to write whatever you want. But um, life has consequences.
There you,
Yes,
there you go.
you you can go out into the street and you can yell whatever you want. But the consequence of that is somebody may take offense to that and come over and kick your ass down the street like a soccer ball.
Well, you know, they frown on that now, man. They frown on
But I
that,
mean,
CJ. You know,
it's
you can't.
it's
It's
just
not
an
like when we were
example of,
coming up, right? It's
but
not
it's
like
an
when we were coming up.
example of, like, look, yes, we have freedoms. We have a lot of freedoms,
Uh
but
huh.
those freedoms come with responsibility and they come with consequences. And when you make a choice, you have to understand that there's always going to be a reaction to that. So
Yeah.
that reaction may
Yeah.
be good, it may be bad, but you have to be prepared to deal with whatever those consequences are. If you
That's
go to
very true.
work and you say something to your boss may go either way. You have to be prepared to deal with that either way, whether it's a good reaction or a bad reaction. You have to think on your feet and understand that, look, if this happens, this is what I got to do. If this happens, this is what I got to do. You got to be prepared. You know,
Right.
like Clint Eastwood said in Heartbreak Ridge, improvise, adapt, overcome. So,
I love that. I love that.
you know, it's always you just again, it's being prepared for whatever happens and understanding that whatever life throws at you, good or bad, you have two choices. You can piss and moan, drag your feet, and make excuses and get nowhere in life, or you can just say, you know what, life dealt me a bad hand. Let's deal with it, move forward, try to turn it into a positive, and that's how you overcome and get past the trauma and all the other stuff
Mhm.
because living in the shadows sucks.
Well,
And
depending on who you're talking to, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that aspect of it, but for the majority of my life, and for like the last 30 years, I've learned how to maneuver through the shadows. The shadows
right,
have just been a safe place for me, right? Not being out in people's eyes and things like that, just learning how to maneuver, learning how to just stay to myself, learning how to figure out life as it goes, right? You know, developing some nice little survival skills,
right,
and learning how to mind my own damn business. for the most part, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna stay out of your way, you stay out of my way. And then, but just like everything, you run across people, and sometimes, sometimes you may have to go, go deeper into the shadows a little bit, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is back in the day when we was coming up, we didn't have camera phones and things like that. So the things that happened back then, we don't have to talk about.
Thank God.
We don't. I know because if they knew,
Bro, that is like my number one thing. I swear above all else, I am so thankful there were no cell phones or like anything other than the random disposable cameras that we had
uh huh, uh huh.
growing up, because some of the stuff that I did.
We'll get into that though. You know what I'm saying? Now, before we get into
Saying,
this conversation, before we get too far off track, brother, because like I said, I really was looking forward to this conversation. Tell people who you are, where you're from, about the work that you do, brother.
So my name is Christopher Plain, but everyone calls me CJ. It's something my great grandfather started because my uncle's name is Clifford John and I'm Christopher John. So I guess to differentiate us, I just became CJ, and it sort of stayed with me. And then eventually I ended up in foster care, and every foster home I went to had already had a Chris or Christopher. So I became a CJ again, and it just sort of stuck with me. The music god part comes from seventh grade teacher. Just gave me the nickname. The whole, I ousted her basically by just knowing more about music, and she made a smart remark. Well, aren't you just a little music god? And of course, my friends heard it, and that sort of become a thing with them of calling me that, and has stuck with me for my whole life. And I've turned it into a brand now. It is my brand. Others have tried to steal it. Others have tried to make their own version of it and have failed miserably, because I've called them out on it and I've bested them in every way possible, and they ceased to exist. So I hold the title. I've run across the metal god and the rock god and other variations of it that thought they could do it better and found out that no, you can't. I'm from Michigan. I was born and raised here, but I've lived all over the world. I've lived in 42 states and 17 countries. I'm a book collector, including old books. I have my own set of Encyclopedia Britannica down there on the bottom shelf. I love old books. I love the smell of like old leather and, the way books used to be made. I love movies and pop culture. I am a fanatic about it and an expert in all things related to music and pop culture, especially when it comes to old cheesy 80s movies, slasher films, that kind of stuff. The sex comedies that came out in the 70s, the 80s. I'm an expert on those films, movies like Porky's and Private School and Screwballs and Hot Dog, the movie, and Airplane, and all of those awesome, terrible, cheesy movies that, were really not good for anything other than just seeing boobs at an age where we really weren't supposed to be seeing boobs.
Well, we had Porky's, Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
We had American Pie.
Yeah.
We had a few of them out there, right? You know what I'm saying? Sweet 16 or 16 Candles, right?
Yeah.
One of the guys, right? You know what I'm saying? So look, we're showing our age right now. We're showing our age.
But you know what? There are movies that. So there's this podcast that it's like a Grindhouse podcast, and their very first episode, they talked about a movie that is one of my favorite movies, and it's a terrible movie from 1974 called The Van. And it's a movie basically If you remember back in the 70s and the early 80s, when we had the shaggin' wagons, or some people called them stabbing cabins, they were the old vans that, people did amazing things with these. These things had beds in them, they had bars in them, they had TVs, stereo systems, lights. I mean, these things were, shade carpeting on the wall. People customized, painted these things, and there was a whole culture around the same way that they did with lowriders. The West Coast had a van culture, and even today that exists, and I'm a huge fan of that. I think these things are, it's a form of art that really isn't appreciated enough. Because I've seen these vans customized in every way, from tributes to movies, tributes to hockey, tributes to famous bands. There's a guy in Minnesota who has a Purple Rain one, and it's a tribute to Prince.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh man, it is just a gorgeous. I mean, it's a 1977 Chevy van, but this thing it's got mag wheels and it's got purple plush everywhere, and it's just mind blowing. And dude's got like 120 grand into customizing this hotel on wheels, basically, is what it is. So they made a movie about the van culture, basically, and it's sort of similar. It's sort of a cross between Porky's and American Graffiti, and it's a cheesy, terrible movie, but it's one of my favorites just because of its relationship to the van culture. They talked about it on that, and I immediately was like, this is my goal. I want to be on this podcast, and I haven't made it yet. But they talk a lot about those kind of movies, of the movies like Porky's and the Van and Pom Pom Girls and Van Nuys Boulevard, American Graffiti, that kind of stuff. And that is like near the top of my list. Is I'm working my way up to being a big enough name to be on that.
Hey, that's the goal though, right? You know what I'm saying? That's the goal, is to have a big enough name to go on some of these shows and just be a part of the atmosphere, be a part of, saying those things that we see on, that we've only dreamed about, right? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the coolest thing. That nowadays, now that we're older, we can dream about these things. It is not beyond the realm of possibility, right? You know what I'm saying? We can look at these things and be like, man, I would love to do this. And just like I tell everybody, like, anytime that you want to do something like that, you got to work your butt off. But it is possible. It is definitely possible, right? If you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to go through, if you're willing to go through some bullshit, and you know what I'm saying, and things like that, you can definitely make a difference. Yeah. And I think that's the beautiful part about this is what I say about social media. It does give you access to people that normally you wouldn't have access to. Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying? Now, I want to get into your story a little bit, because you got a really, really good background, man. Let's talk about your upbringing a little bit, right? Because you know what I'm saying, the audience is going to be amazed, because when you and I talked, it was like, wow, you've gone from this to this, you know what I'm saying, and look at what you're doing right in the world, and you know what I'm saying, and all the things, all the amazing moves that you're making. So let's talk about your history a little bit. Where did all of this start from, right?
Mom and dad divorced when I was 2. Dad got custody of me. I had sole custody, and I grew up in the front seat of a Peterbilt, basically. Dad was a truck driver. Is still a truck driver. He's in his 53rd year of driving. 53 years of driving Peterbilt trucks, only Peterbilts. This was in the early 70s. There were no computers, cell phones, big screen TVs, video games, or anything of that sort. So I essentially had books and music to occupy my time while Dad was driving us all over the country, from Michigan to Mississippi, Mississippi to Wyoming to the East Coast back to Arizona. We crisscrossed this country every possible kind of way. probably 3,000 or 4,000 times before I started school. It's why I have a passion for music. It's why I have a passion for books, because from a very early age, that's all I had. So, by the time I started school, I was about 5 grades ahead of everyone else at my age level. I won Young Authors of America for the entire state of Michigan at 7 years old in first grade. I got to meet the governor, have dinner with the governor of Michigan. At that time, it was James Milliken, and got a $50 savings bond. That was in 1978. $50 in 1978 compared to today is a nice little sum. So use that to go to college, eventually. But that's sort of where I started. I've parlayed that into having my hand in a lot of everything. At 13, I was sent to California to live with my mother because I did some boneheaded-ish here. And Dad basically said, I don't even want to look at you right now. I need you out of my sight. So he sent me to Cali to live with Mom. I moved to Cali. I was raised in a racist family, raised around all of the wrong mindset. Moved to California. Mom worked out there as a real estate secretary. We had a condo, very beautiful condo. The gentleman that lived next door, his name was Robert Griffin. I immediately took offense to him living there because he was Black, and I said some really out-of-pocket, dumb shit to him. He had every right to kick my ass down the street like a soccer ball. He didn't. He, in a very Lawrence Fishburne, Morgan Freeman way, took me aside, taught me to play chess, taught me about Malcolm X, taught me about a lot of things. He was a history teacher for the LA school system and saved my life. I wholeheartedly believe he saved my life, gave me a new mindset, and taught me to see the world in a way that wasn't what I had been taught up to that point, and set me on a whole new path. And I've never got to tell him thank you. It is my dream of all dreams would be to find him, to meet him again, and thank him for what he did, because he very easily could have told me to shuffle on, and I would have continued on that path to be the ignorant little piece of shit that I was. And God had other plans apparently. So I'm thankful for that.
I got a question for you, right? Because going from one lifestyle to another, that comes with its own set of challenges and grief, and its own set of PTSD and trauma, right? What were some of the things that you had to overcome? As far as changing your mindset under, and coming from a racist background to, seeing the other side of life where, like now you get to understand, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are sitting around right now probably going to something similar, might be on the fence, right? Like on this hand over here, this is what I'm being taught, but on this hand over here, they don't understand why the hatred is there, right? So
for me, it was
some of that.
For me, it was, I only knew what I had saw and experienced up to that point. I grew up, we lived in a very, very small town of about 900 people. It was 98% white. When I did go to a big city, it was never to somebody's house to visit or anything. It was always, we're going to we're going to pick up your grandma from work. And she worked on the north side of Flint, which is the ghetto. If you know anything about Flint, Michigan, it's a war zone. Okay, so Grandpa would drive us through the north side of Flint and look at all these such and such standing by the liquor store. Look at these such and such standing on the corner selling drugs, and look at these burned out houses. And, it was a way to reinforce to us what he said or what Dad said. And that was all I had ever saw. So when Robert came along and said, look, here's my sister's house. It's this beautiful 10,000 square foot mansion in Inglewood with nothing but white shag carpeting and a pool table and an indoor pool. It was a whole different side of it. I saw that Blacks and Hispanics weren't just drug dealers. They weren't just gangbangers. They weren't just ghetto rats for lack of, I really hate using that word, but for lack of a better, I guess, term of what I had been taught. I saw that, okay, it wasn't just people in Hollywood that had the money. It wasn't just Sammy Davis Jr. and Bill Cosby that lived like that. It was normal people who owned businesses, people that were teachers, people that were doctors, people that were Robert's sister was a teacher. And he was married to her husband. He owned a bunch of 7-Elevens is where most of the money come from. His other sister was a nurse, and he showed me, these people invited me to dinner, and I got to play pool with their kids and ride down to the 7-Eleven and get free Slurpees. And I saw that, okay, they live just like me. They have the same bikes. They have the same books. They have the same passions. They have the same dreams, and they go through the same classes in school. So it let me know that, okay, I really wasn't special. I wasn't the chosen one. I wasn't superior to them in some kind of way. In reading the autobiography of Malcolm X did a ton, because it showed me that it opened my mind to the Black experience in a way that I've never been Black, so I can't speak to what the Black experience is per se, but I got to read it from somebody who didn't mince words and spoke of the struggles where they came from, and learning that Malcolm grew up in Michigan like I did was this sort of thing like, okay, he's from the same place as me, so we're not worlds apart really. And seeing his journey from where he started to the Nation of Islam to Sunni Muslim at the end, where he became such a powerful leader that the government had to assassinate him because he was going to bring people together in a way that the government wasn't going to allow. And we can sit here and debate. I've had debates with people about who killed Malcolm X and why Malcolm X was blah, blah, blah. But, the bottom line is if Malcolm X isn't assassinated when he's assassinated, he becomes the first Black president decades before Obama. It's that simple. You can mince words any kind of way you want, but the man spoke and moved in a way, and the government realized this man can start riots and stop riots with a single word. When it was a power they simply were not going to allow any Black man to have at that time, period. So it was, again, it was reading about a life that I had only been taught one side of. If I look at this coin and I've only been taught about this side of the coin, That's what my viewpoint is.
Right.
But when someone comes along and says, well, hey, there's another side of this, and look at the details on it. Look at the Washington Monument, look at the engraving, look at the lettering, and then turn it over and look at the engraving, look at the lettering. And you notice, well, you know what? There is two sides to it, but they're very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And they're related. And one side has to have the other side or it's worthless.
There you go.
And like I said, it wasn't a mindset so much as just experience. So many people, and I've seen this over and over and over, from every race, from every religion. When you don't see the world, when you don't interact with others, when you don't experience life outside of your bubble, that's this perspective you have. You only have the perspective of what's in your bubble.
Right, right.
But when you go to another country, when you go to, say you're a Baptist, you've never been to a mosque, go to a mosque one time. Just sit. Don't speak. Just sit. Just listen. You'd be shocked by what you'll learn. You'll be shocked to understand that you have a lot more in common with them than what you have not in common. And that was my true awakening, is getting to go to the Philippines, getting to go to India, getting to go to Brazil, getting to go to Thailand, and seeing that, wow, these people live in some beautiful houses. And then there are parts of Manila that made me cry.
Yeah.
Houses that are made out of cardboard and tin, drinking water that was mud. They had garbage in it.
Yeah.
That, I have seen homeless people in America that are more well off than these people.
Yeah.
Walk through the favelas of Brazil and Rio.
But you and I talked about this.
Yeah.
You and I talked about this. Cozumel. Your
mind.
Yeah. Yeah. What else? Cozumel. Hell, there's even parts of the Grand Caymans that if you walk through, right? So, you know what I'm saying? If you go to the Grand Caymans, you got the part that everybody showcases, which is the part that all the celebrities go to, right? And I've been to the Grand Caymans a couple of times. And, once you get past 11 Mile, and 11 Mile is separated by a big old sandbar that's full of gators. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're on your little moped and stuff like that, you got to navigate through the fucking gators and stuff like that, right?
They call it Alligator Road.
Right, Alligator Road, right? You know what I'm saying? So, like if you're driving down there, and I remember the first time I went, we was on the mopeds. We was on the mopeds and stuff, right?
Yep.
And so I got the chance to, when we got there, I got the chance to visit a lot of the celebrity homes, like Morgan Freeman and, Madonna, and just to name a few. And the crazy part about it is, it's such a beautiful place, and it's such a safe place that they leave their doors unlocked for people to walk in and just walk around anytime that they want. Right. And to me, I thought to myself, I was like, this is crazy, because you got a painting on your wall that's worth $100,000. And yet you got your door open and you spent freaking $50 million just to have this one little condo in this a condo complex, right? And then you go driving down past Alligator Road. And it is one of, I would say, in such a fancy place, it is one of the ghettoest place that you could ever go to. But it's just like any place that you go, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about Jamaica, right? there's parts of Jamaica that hell I wouldn't even.
The roaster part and the real part.
There you go. There you go. And then like now I'm speaking from personal experience when I say this because I've been homeless out here in the United States, right?
Right.
And when you're in that experience, there's nothing else. Um, there's nothing else like it, right? Because now I speak from sleeping in dumpsters and eating out of dumpsters, and what I'm saying, breaking into people's cars when it was cold, or breaking into abandoned buildings and things like that. Because I'm just like yourself, right? I saw one side of the coin. I was leaving. I had left the games. I was done. I was tired. I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. But I didn't realize that there was another side of it. And unfortunately, there's still people that are wrapped up into it. They don't see the other side. And throughout my journey, throughout the course of time, being moved around and not really having a stable place, which allowed me to be able to do it. I got the chance to, eventually end up in a place where I got to see the other side of life, where people didn't have to worry about getting shot. They didn't have to worry about, the police, harassing them or beating them up or taking them to jail or something, just for any old reason, right? They didn't have to worry about the things that I grew up having to deal with, right? You know what I'm saying? And these people were coming out and barbecuing. Now we did barbecue in the hood, but what I'm saying, depending on the day or time, it may not last too long, right? Because you may have to go out and deal with some stuff, right? But these people were barbecuing and they were having parties where they were inviting people over, and it was such a really good environment. And I realized right then and there that that's what I wanted. I was so done with the lifestyle. I got the scars and the tattoos to prove it, right? I was so done with it. Exactly, right? So what I'm saying, they tell a story. They tell a story of a past that most people never survive.
That's right.
And here we are now, and we can see the other side. And to the words that are to those guys that are still out there, those guys and those females that are still out there, and you're afraid to let go of the lifestyle, let it go. You know what I'm saying? Please let it go before you end up in the grave or somewhere, man.
Yeah.
And I know this because you and I have talked. We both should have been there, probably many times over.
10 times over.
But yeah, here we are.
I've got one of the most amazing guardian angels. I don't know which grandmother it is, but I'm sure it's one of them because I've walked away from stuff that I had no right to walk away from.
Yeah.
Humanly shouldn't have walked away from. And I'm here for some reason. I haven't quite 100% figured out that reason, but this scar down the middle of my forehead, I became a truck driver like my father. Did it for 16 years until one day I was driving through Denver. The load shifted a little bit. I noticed it. The flatbed kind of swaying a little bit. Pulled over. Said, let me readjust this thing. Went to unhook the back chain. That thing snapped. It come back. It hit me dead square in the forehead. Left this beautiful, I don't know if you can see it here, but
I can see it.
Beautiful thing up the middle of my forehead. Almost 90 stitches to close the wound. Scrambled my brain. Memory loss. Migraines. Impulse control center is completely done. So, I have these wonderful medicines I have to take every single day because it keeps me from being on the most wanted list for the most part. I mean, it's really not a nice way to say it. It's, it basically when my impulse center fails, the medicines kind of keep me level and keep me from choking somebody out or saying something that they'll choke me out. It keeps me honest, I guess. But it really is, I tell this to everybody, travel. You will be amazed what you learn, and you will come back to this country and you will kiss the ground and you will have a whole new appreciation. Even on the days when the government does their thing, and you can obviously see that they're eroding away at the rights we have, and they're doing these little
slowly but surely
crisis things, you'll still be thankful that you can say what you can say without being arrested like in England for thought crimes. You can still walk down the street and not be stopped and frisked by the police and killed in the street like in the Philippines or Burma or in Thailand. That you have endless knowledge available to you at libraries and bookstores and book depositories, unlike any other country that I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Cell phone plans, simple cell phone plans. Most countries, the majority of countries, other than say like America and England, you know, countries like India, Thailand, the Philippines, Brazil, they don't even have unlimited phone plans. They literally have plans where what we had in the 80s, where we had to go out and buy the little phone cards and load. They still have that. So if you live in the Philippines, you can't go to your phone carrier and say, hey, give me a $40 unlimited plan. They don't exist. You have to buy chunks of data. And once that data runs out, you have to go back to the phone store and say, give me more. Give me more. Give me more. That's mind-blowing to me because I pay $40 a month to Verizon. I get unlimited everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You go to a country where that's not available, and I literally have to go buy phone cards. Like, what the hell is this, 1996? Like, you know.
It's crazy, ain't it?
You know, so you learn to appreciate the little things. You learn to appreciate things like in the Philippines, unless you're living in Manila or Cebu, they don't use toilet paper because their sewer systems are not built to handle it. They have, most people have barrels of water and a cup. It's called a tabo. And you take the cup. It's sort of like their version of a bidet. And they take that water and they, you know, you wash your butt with that cup of water because that's what they do. That's why in a lot of countries in Asia, it's a fapu, or whatever the word is. You never shake with your left hand. Your left hand is considered your wiping hand, your dirty hand. You don't shake with your left hand because it's offensive to them, because you're wiping with the hand that you wipe your butt with. So
yeah, no, I'm good. I am good, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Americans don't know this unless you've been there and seen it.
Right. That's true.
You learn to appreciate a simple thing like toilet paper.
Well, you know, honestly, man, I always recommend to people to travel. I've traveled myself, right? I've been to a few foreign countries, you know what I'm saying? I've been to the UK, I've been to Germany, Paris, I've been to Ireland, Scotland, you know, I've been to Costa Rica, I've been to the Virgin Islands, I've been, you know, Italy, and you know, and things like that. And there's a few places on my bucket list that I still would like to go. But I did it. I wanted to go to these places for one, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to understand the different cultures that was out there. I wanted to talk and experience people, right? Because it was something that I had never thought that I could do. Right? Because when you think about traveling, you know, everybody makes the excuse, oh, I don't have the money to do it. Brother, I did it while I was homeless. I did it while I was homeless. So I was like, no, you don't understand. Like you can go and get a round trip ticket over to Europe, you know what I'm saying, and backpack through Europe for $120. That's how simple it is. Go get a passport, $120 round trip, get on a coach, fly over there, take a backpack through there, experience the cultures, right? You know what I'm saying? Experience the people. Because it is, if you took your time, you can be over there for 3 months and explore all kinds of other things, right? You know what I'm saying? You'll probably touch down in like Paris or something, backpack through there, end up over in Germany, backpack through there, go in and end up over in freaking Amsterdam somewhere, right? This is how, and when you come over here at a place like Texas or Kansas, where it takes you 8 hours to get through one damn state, and sometimes 27 hours to get through another state, right? You go through there in those same 8 hours, you probably went through 3 or 4 countries.
Yeah.
Right. It's really just it's really a beautiful thing to see. So, like when I went over to Ireland, I was over there to mentor some other men. And I never asked anybody, right? I just knew I was going to go. Wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but I did. I got over there and I realized it only cost me $110 round trip, right? It was so cheap. I got over there and it was so beautiful because you go through some of the villages and you hear the history and then you hear the stories and then you realize that like these people live in villages.
Yeah.
They live in actual villages. And then they have places that where you can buy castles. Right. I thought that was the craziest thing. I was like, hold on. You mean to tell me I could buy that castle right there that has a moat around it? But you know what it reminded me of though? And I'm glad that I did it because these are things that you only see on movies like Braveheart or what I'm saying, a lot of the older movies where people were fighting, and things like that, right? But to actually see something like that where they have drawbridges and moats and things like that, and you can actually purchase a castle for next to nothing. 40 acres of land.
Or more.
Right? You know what I'm saying? And I thought to myself, I was like, man, one day I want to do that.
Yeah.
One day I want to live.
I got a plan. If I ever get to the point where I have that kind of money, if I build my brand up to the point where it becomes the true thing that I want it to be, I'm buying a castle, and all my people, they're coming with me. I will put them to work and pay them a very generous salary to be the cook, the groundskeeper, security, whatever. You take your pick of what job title you want, but your job basically is to be by my side and enjoying the spoils of war, so to speak. There's one I got my eye on. It's in France, man. And this thing is it's a 48 room or 40. It's a castle. It's got 48 bedrooms. It's got the carriage houses. It's got the other houses that can be converted. It comes with 600 acres, multiple ponds. It's got the moat, the drawbridge. And I'm like, this thing is like $4.3 million. And I'm like, okay, $4 million, but it's a 48 bedroom chateau castle with a moat and a drawbridge. And, I mean,
ponds and lakes. You can go fishing anytime you want.
You know what I'm saying? And you think, well, who wants to look? It's 48 rooms. We can space some suckers out enough to where if there's 12 or 14 of us, look, everybody gets, every fifth room. So where you still got 5 rooms between you, you still got your own space. You can use those extra rooms for a closet, an art room, whatever you want to use it for.
You know what I'm doing? You know what I'm doing? I'm like, if I had something like that for 4.3 million, trust me, and that's well worth it, right? Man, I'm getting all of my family together, telling them, look, we're moving out here.
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody and your kids. Like my biggest dream is that I want all my family back together. I miss those days where my family was all together, where we were tight knit, and saying that we were happy, and it was just something that I missed about that because I've been on my own for quite some time. That is the thought of family is such a foreign concept to me now, right? I'm so, man, brother. Look, man, I hate to admit this, but the last time my sister put together a family reunion, I felt so out of place being around my family.
Yep.
And I hated the fact that I felt that way, but I didn't know how, because I had been gone for so long and so much shit had happened to me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That now I'm around them and I still didn't know, I still didn't feel safe.
That's right.
I was still sitting around them going, man, are they going to try to hurt me too? And if so, I'm going to have to, I'm I'm in survival mode. And this is my family, blood family. And but yet, again, I was so traumatized by my life and everything. Here I am around them, and I couldn't even enjoy the moments of being around with them. Although I put on a fake face and was like, you know what I'm saying, this is family, but I was also thinking to myself, like, if you get out of line, I'm gonna break your jaw. Period.
Right.
And so it was such a foreign concept to me that I didn't know how to feel about it, right? And I realized when I left, I had gotten so used to being alone because I felt safer being alone, which is a trauma response.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt safer being alone than I ever had been around anyone. You know what I'm saying? And it was just my way of keeping myself safe. And even now, you know what I'm saying, I have a hard time being around people for long periods of time because I never know what people's intentions are towards me. How you doing, Rachel? Great to see you up here.
This,
But yeah, it's such a foreign concept, right? You know what I'm saying?
this
And
is my safe place right here. I just
right,
it
right,
has my pop culture stuff, it has my computers and my music, my guitars and my art stuff. I paint. You see the little pictures over here, the music
hmm
god one and the little guitar one. Those are my paintings and the movies and all the artists I enjoy in my books and my movies behind me. This is my bubble. This is my safe space, and it's where I like to
right.
be. I'm like you. I don't like crowds. I don't like large groups of people. I have a very hard time. You know, I'm very singular minded when it comes to if I have to go to Walmart, if I have to go to Meyer, Kroger, any place like that. I don't meander. I don't just wander around. I have a list when I walk in. Ketchup, bread,
Mhm.
milk. I get my ketchup, bread, milk, and I'm out
Right.
because I
And
don't have the patience for the
I am not
fortitude.
trying to linger around. I'm not lingering
There are
around at
days.
all.
There are days like if I have the boy with me or I have my older son with me, we'll go to the mall. We'll go to Five Below. We'll go to Spirit Halloween. We'll go to a video game store, and we'll just kind of, because I can block people out because they're with me, and I can just kind of focus on being with them. Um, but if I'm by myself, you never see me just wandering. Like
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
do a
have the
whole lot of
fortitude or
wandering,
the
man.
patience for people. Um,
Yeah, that's where I am, because I mean, I guess coming into the new year, there was a lot of things that I started paying attention to, because I'm a very observant individual,
mhm,
and I pay attention to people, which honestly, I just noticed there's things that they try not to reveal.
yeah,
And so I listen to a person, but I also watch their actions. You know what I'm saying? And we talk about social media and things like that. I watch people. I don't say anything, but I watch people, and I'm just like, your words don't match. So
right,
I keep trying to tell people, like, you have to be, you like, if you're going to do something, make sure you're careful about what you post. You know what I'm saying? Because it's right there. You like, okay, you're like, do you not understand what you just did?
yeah,
And so people are surprised when I don't say anything, and I'm just like, I'm about to move out of your way. I really am, because this is gonna be freaking hilarious, and I love watching the train wreck. I
yeah.
really do, because I'm like, self-inflicted wounds are the worst ones. But don't get mad at me.
Mhm.
Do not get mad at me because I didn't stop it. Remember, if I had been in the way, you would have got me too. So don't get mad at me because I kept myself safe. Like, what part of the game do you do? What part of the game do you not understand? But of course, you know what I'm saying, that comes from having really, really sharp survival skills. You know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying? Like, people don't understand. When you go through a certain amount of stuff, man, um, those things are embedded in you. it becomes a way that you look at life. It becomes a way that you live your life. And even though you change, even or you change environments and things like that, you understand to no end that just because you change environments doesn't change the people that are in the environment.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I'm saying? Because
it doesn't
people are
change your
people,
things.
right? People are people, right? And that's the crazy part. Like I keep trying to tell people the only thing that changes about the game is the people that play it. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that changes. The game never changes. The game
Well,
never changes. It's just the people that
yeah.
think that they come in that you know what I'm saying that think that they're doing something special. No, the game never changes. It's the same thing no matter how you look at it. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, don't
And
get it.
you're gonna deal with some shit. You're gonna deal with
Yeah.
some trauma. You're gonna deal with your own set of grief. You're gonna deal with all of these other shit. You're gonna deal with people on a day-to-day basis. Nothing changes. Because like you said before, look, you can take that quarter, you can flip it on both sides. You realize that there's you have similarities.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And you
saying?
remember, you can put a wolf in a three-piece suit. It's still a wolf. Don't get it twisted. Snoop lives in a, Snoop is Snoop. Snoop
Yeah.
travels to all things with Martha Stewart and with the rich folks, and he got money. But don't get it twisted. You come at Snoop wrong, Snoop's gonna smack the shit out of you because Snoop is still Snoop, and still, Snoop still came from Long Beach, and that Long Beach can come out and, and show you, So,
And
I
that's what it's about, right? Because some people never really understand um the things that go along with that, because for one, it's embedded in you.
that's right.
It's a part of who you are. Now, I grew up in that era with Snoop. You know what I'm saying? And there's one point in time, like being the game banger that I was. We used to feud with the Rolling Twenties. We used to feud. You know what I'm saying? Snoop. Like I know some stuff, right? And yeah, we are talking about Snoop Dogg. I knew him before he was Snoop Dogg.
That's right.
And there was a whole lot. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. So, uh, so hold on. Give me 1 second, CJ. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Take your time, brother. I'm right here.
Sorry about that, brother. You know what I'm saying? I got a lady who's scheduled right behind us at 1 o'clock. So you know what I'm saying? Man. Um, so with that being said, brother, we're gonna wrap this up. I want to have
Okay.
you back up here again. You know what I'm saying? To where we can have a lot more time to be able to talk and things like that. Where we're not because I wasn't expecting this one, so she's scheduled at the last minute. But brother, before I let you go, man, tell people how they can find you, man, because I want to have more of a longer conversation with you. You already know.
You can find me on YouTube. That's where I do all my podcasts. That's where I have my music reaction channel. And it's also, now that I know that the new camera equipment is coming, we're going to get into food reviews, restaurant reviews, other random. The Music God cooking channel is coming because I'm an amazing cook as well. So that's all going to be on YouTube. You can find me right there where it says Music God Reacts or the Noise Report with a Z, just like that there on the screen. Anywhere else, you can go to Google, just type in the Music God TJ playing, just like you see it on the screen. That'll take you to Instagram, take you to TikTok, take you to Facebook, take you to, I think there's some other random ones out there that I use that I don't keep up with nearly as much. But we're going to be
Yeah.
building those because, You know, that's what this is all about. It's just building the brand and helping people, whether it's Special Olympics, St. Jude's, homeless advocate, or just being an advocate for men that need an ear, you know, because sometimes you just got to shut up and listen.
There you go.
That's the thing, you know. So yeah, that's where you find me.
Okay. And his information is down below, everybody. Go check him out. But also, you know, I want to let people know too that, you know, you guys are going to see a lot more of him. He has some amazing things going on. And of course, when we get off, at some point today, I'm going to message you with my phone number so you and I can stay in contact and everything. And then maybe we can schedule part 2 where we can have a lot more time to be able to talk, break down a whole lot of this other stuff and things like that. You know, I'm sorry that, you know, I wasn't expecting someone to schedule.
You're good, man, because
never.
You know, back on the boy, and I'm going to bring you on my show too.
You let me know.
I got it fleshed out, and we gonna do some pop culture stuff, and we're gonna have fun with it because we're gonna go back in the day.
Oh, see, there you go. Look, don't be calling me out. Don't you dare be calling me out. You know, I'm too old for this. We're gonna have a blast, brother. But with that being said, man, I really enjoyed our conversation today. Can't wait to do it again. Let me know if you got a schedule or something. Send it over to me. I would love to be on your show as always. And, you know, with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Brief Let's Talk About It podcast. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. We love you. Thank you for your support. And if this is your first time tuning in, if you would like to, head on over to that YouTube channel. I got all my social media links down there. Follow me on my social media. Go to the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. But maybe this is not for you, but maybe it is for someone else. Do me a favor. If you know someone who can benefit from the conversation that we have, please share this along with them. Let them know that there are support resources and information out there to help them along their grief, trauma, and mental health, as well as their addiction journey, to make sure that they are navigated and supported by other people that walk through the same things. All right. And with that being said, everybody, thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in. My man, CJ Plain, thank you for being on the show today. We guys going to see you guys in the next one. Love you. You guys have a blessed day. Peace.